That afternoon, sunlight poured over Myrtle Beach, gilding the old wooden boardwalk planks that creaked softly beneath the tourists' feet. The sea breeze drifted by, carrying the salty tang of the ocean, the buttery scent of popcorn, and the sweet fragrance of strawberry ice cream from the small roadside stalls. The rhythm of the waves blended with the cries of seagulls and the mellow strumming of a street musician playing Sweet Home Alabama. Children laughed as they chased each other under the golden light. Couples walked hand in hand, leaning close, whispering secrets between the whispers of the wind. It was, by all appearances, a perfect afternoon. One of joy, of laughter. But amid all that vibrant life, one person sat in silence. A young woman in a silver wheelchair, her gaze fixed on the endless horizon. She said nothing, looked at no one, just listened, as if the waves were speaking to her. Her name was Hannah Brooks, and she was 21 years old. 2 years ago, she had been a long-distance runner, fast, strong, radiant with youth and energy. But a car accident on a rainy night had stolen her legs, and with them, a piece of her bright young life. When she awoke after the crash, she found herself in half a body and a completely different world. The wheelchair beneath her had become her new legs, her new fate, something that once brought her shame, but eventually became a symbol of resilience. She learned how to live again, to smile at the little things, and most of all, to stop fearing the pitying eyes of others. Hannah loved the ocean, because the sea never looked at her like people did. The sea never judged. The waves still crashed, the sunlight shone, and the wind brushed her cheeks, as if nothing in the world had changed. Every time she came here, she felt truly free, not the disabled girl, but simply a human being, alive, breathing, feeling life. This evening she took a deep breath and pushed her wheels forward onto the boardwalk, whispering to herself, "Today, I'll live like everyone else. No pity, no fear. Live." She rolled slowly along the wooden path in a smirk, and finally, the spark of something cruel twisting in their grins. They started walking toward her, their heavy footsteps thudding against the wooden boards. Hannah didn't notice. She was still gazing out to sea, lost in her fragile moment of peace. Until a voice cut through the air behind her, cold, mocking. "Hey! Move it, Wheels!" The air froze. The laughter, the music, the sound of the surf, all seemed to stop. She turned, eyes wide. One of the young men sneered, then suddenly kicked the side of her wheelchair. A harsh clang rang out, metal striking wood. The chair wobbled. Hannah gripped the railing tight. Pain shot through her back, but worse was the indifference in the faces around her. A few people had seen, but quickly looked away. A man pretended to adjust his camera. A couple pulled their child aside. No one said a word. No one dared to step in. Only the cruel laughter echoed through the tranquil air. "Bet you I was right. She can't even stand up," one of them jeered, triumphant. Those words didn't just humiliate her. They cut deep, like knives into her chest. Hannah lowered her head, her breath trembling. Tears welled up, but she bit her lip, refusing to let them fall. She had endured enough. Enough of the pity, enough of the whispers, enough of being looked down upon. And this time, there was something different in those tear-filled eyes. A spark, faint, but unwavering. "No," she whispered, her voice shaking yet resolute. "Not this time." Hannah gripped the armrests tightly and lifted her head. The waves still crashed, but now they sounded like the pounding of drums in her chest. The wind whipped her hair, and then, from far off, deep, heavy, rolling, came a low, rumbling sound, like thunder rising from the earth. She looked up, listening. Engines. At first, just one, then two, then many. The engines grew louder in the distance, rumbling like thunder rolling across the sky. The vibration made the old wooden planks beneath the tourists' feet tremble. People began to turn their heads, faces filled with surprise. A few children covered their ears. The bullies froze, the arrogant smirks on their faces vanishing instantly. A long line of motorcycles appeared from the end of the beachside road. Sunlight flashed off the polished chrome, casting gleaming sparks across the air. The riders wore black leather jackets, their tattooed shoulders glinting under the sun, fierce yet commanding. They moved in formation, slow but steady, like a silent army advancing through the crowd. People stepped aside as the riders approached. 12 massive motorcycles lined up in front of the seaside cafe. Engines thundered, then all at once went silent. The noise faded, leaving behind a heavy stillness. No one spoke. Only the sound of waves and wind whistling through the flags above. Leading the group was a man in his early 50s, with silver streaks in his beard and eyes deep and sharp as blades. On the back of his leather jacket, bold embroidered letters read, "Guardians MC." He removed his sunglasses and slowly stepped off his bike. His boots striking the wooden floor echoed, steady, firm, cold. He didn't need to speak. His presence alone thickened the air with tension. His gaze swept the boardwalk and stopped on Hannah, the young woman in the silver wheelchair, her hands trembling slightly. His eyes softened, and in that brief, quiet exchange, she saw something in him, a silent understanding, as though he carried old, invisible scars. Then he turned toward the 3 bullies who stood frozen in place. Their laughter had died, their faces, once full of mock bravado, now pale and nervous. A cold wind blew past, carrying the scent of gasoline and salt. The man took one step forward. His voice was low and raspy, but every word struck the air with weight. "Son, did you just kick a girl's wheelchair?" No one answered. He continued, steadfastly. The bearded man looked at the bullies once more, his voice dropping lower, calmer but heavy with truth. "Strength isn't about being loud. I've met truly strong people, and none of them ever needed to shout or kick anyone to prove it." Then he turned toward Hannah, stepping closer. His voice softened, warm, gentle, like a breeze after a storm. "You all right, sweetheart?" Hannah couldn't speak. She just shook her head lightly, tears spilling down her cheeks. But they were tears of relief, of gratitude. The man nodded slightly, a faint smile appearing on his lips. Then he turned back to the bullies, his eyes sharp as blades. "Get out of here, and take your cowardice with you." The 3 young men lowered their heads, stumbling backward before hurrying away into the silent crowd. No one cheered, no one clapped. Only silence, heavy but filled with justice. The man raised a hand slightly, A female biker stepped forward, removed a black bandana embroidered with the Guardians MC logo, and gently tied it around Hannah's wrist. She leaned down, whispering, "You're one of us now." Hannah broke down in tears, not from fear or weakness, but because she felt truly seen for the first time in her life. Not through pity, but through respect. The bearded man stood up, gazed at her for a long moment, and said, "Don't let others decide your worth. The weak hurt others to feel strong. The strong keep standing, even after they've been hurt." Then he turned and walked away. The engines roared back to life, deep, thunderous, rolling through the wooden pier like a heartbeat. And then the applause began. One person first, then another, then many, until the entire beach clapped like waves crashing on shore. Hannah watched the motorcycle convoy fade into the golden sunlight. Tears fell, but a smile bloomed on her lips. The wind lifted her hair, the sea shimmered blue, and she no longer felt small in the sunset glow. Because in this world, there are still people who stand up when others stay silent. People with the hearts of warriors, brave, proud, and kind. After the motorcycle convoy left, the beach remained silent for a long while. The waves seemed to soften, and the sunlight turned amber, blowing across Hannah's face, where tears and a smile still lingered together. She stayed there, her hands resting lightly on the wheels, eyes following the road the bikers had just taken. A little boy, about 8 years old, who had seen everything, ran up to her, holding out the cotton candy in his hand. "Don't be sad, miss. Those bikers, they were really cool." Hannah laughed, a shaky yet warm and genuine laugh. "Yes, they really were," she said softly, then reached down and gently patted the boy's head. People from the crowd began to approach. A middle-aged woman handed her a bottle of water. A young man picked up the small bag beside her wheelchair. The eyes around her no longer carried pity or curiosity, only respect. Someone whispered, "She's so brave." Another added, "And those bikers too. There are still good people in this world." A warm wave spread across the beach, as if everyone had awakened from a long, silent pause. That night, a video recorded by a tourist began spreading online. It showed the bikers stepping forward, silently surrounding the girl, and how they looked at her with pure respect. It touched millions of hearts. Comments poured in. "This is what real courage looks like. If more people stood up like them, there'd be far less cruelty in this world. Kindness protects. Goodness always finds a way to protect those who deserve it." The name Guardians MC, once feared by many, symbolized protection and compassion. And Hannah, the girl in the video, became the symbol of something simple yet powerful: resilience in silence. Weeks later, Hannah returned to the beach. The wind still blew, the waves still crashed, and somewhere in the distance, street music drifted through the afternoon light. But this time, she didn't roll slowly anymore. She pushed her wheels stronger, faster, with confidence. Her hair danced wildly in the wind. People waved, smiled, and greeted her, and she smiled back. She stopped at the same spot, gazing out at the ocean, and whispered to herself, "Show up, quietly, in the right moment, to remind us that in a world so cold, there are still hearts that know how to keep each other warm." If you believe kindness can be a kind of strength, share this story, so that someone out there, in a moment of weakness, will know they are not alone. Every story reminds us, kindness has never disappeared. It's only waiting for someone to awaken it. If this story touched your heart, Please like, share, and subscribe to Deep Life Tales, where we continue spreading the light of compassion, one story at a time. And don't forget to leave a small comment, even something as simple as, "I still believe in kindness." Who knows? Maybe that single line will warm someone's heart today. Thank you for staying until the end. This is Deep Life Tales, where kindness is still told every single day.